Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So, you finally made it to the beta of Arise crossover, huh? Well, congrats. But don't get too comfy, because now's not the time to mess around with farming cash and diamonds in the most inefficient ways possible. If you're planning on reaching the iconic Naruto Island or the legendary One Piece Island, you need to start strong. The right shadows will make all the difference, and trust me, you don't want to get stuck grinding for hours just to make a little progress. That's why I've put together this Arise crossover best shadows tier list to help you breeze through the solo leveling island. Picking the right shadows from the get-go can save you so much time and effort, and you'll be on your way to those awesome islands before you know it. I'll walk you through the top tier shadows you absolutely need in your team, so sit back, relax, and let's dive right in. This is the kind of strategy that'll help you level up faster and more efficiently, no more wasting time. I'm quickly moving on to the video, and I'm ranking shadows in Arise crossover. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching. The shadows in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Dake and Sundu. Alright, so let's talk about shadows in Arise crossover, and specifically, we're diving into the B tier ones. Now, I know when you first start playing, every shadow feels like it could be the next big thing. But let's be real, not all of them are created equal. And honestly, there are some you're going to want to swap out for better options as soon as you can. First up, let's talk about Dake. To me, Dake feels like a slightly better version of Sundu, but that's not saying much. Dake's main thing is relying on melee strikes and a flurry attack that happens every 3 to 4 seconds. It's alright when you're still figuring things out, but once you start playing with some of the stronger shadows, you'll realize just how much Dake falls short. Compared to shadows like Longin or Largalgan, Dake just can't keep up. Even Anders at times feels like a better choice. If you're still rocking Dake by the time you're a little more experienced, it's probably time to just move on. Trust me, your team will thank you for it. Now, let's talk about Sundu. Sundu, the first shadow most of us get to know. Unfortunately, he's also the worst. Seriously, in terms of damage output, he's pretty much at the bottom of the barrel. I get it. He's the first one you'll encounter, so he has that beginner feel, but don't get too attached. The only real use for Sundu is when you need him for things like upgrading to a Ganshi or getting your first Longin. After that, yeah, just toss him to the side. I mean, when you stack Sundu up against the rest of the B-tier shadows, he just doesn't hold a candle. His damage is laughable and his overall utility is lacking. So, if you're using him to grind out a couple of things early on, that's fine. But once you start building a better roster, don't waste any more time on him. You'll quickly realize just how much better other shadows are. That said, it's not all doom and gloom for the B tier. There are definitely some shadows in this tier that can hold their own, and you can have some fun experimenting with them if you're not in a rush to build your dream team. But yeah, Dake and Sundu, they're the ones you'll want to phase out as soon as possible. They've got their uses early on, but once you get to the meat of the game, they start looking a little, well, outdated. So, if you're in the B tier and you're trying to figure out whether to stick with a shadow like Dake or Sundu, my advice is simple. Don't get too attached. There are better options out there, and you'll be much better off once you swap them out for stronger shadows. Keep moving, keep experimenting, and remember, the goal is to have fun, but also to build the strongest team possible. Sooner or later, you'll look back at Sundu and Dake and think, what was I even doing with those guys? The shadows in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Largalgan, Ganshi, and Anders. Alright folks, let's dive into the world of shadows in Arise crossover, where strategy and stacking are everything. Now, I know you've probably been grinding for hours trying to figure out which shadows to focus on, and today, I've got you covered. If you're still trying to figure out how to build the perfect team, listen closely because I'm about to drop some knowledge on you. So first up, let's talk about Largalgan. This one's a bit of a beast, but hear me out. It should definitely be second on your priority list. Why? Because once you get that magical quadruple Longin stack, you're gonna feel like a champion. And trust me, it's totally worth the grind. You'll find Largalgans chilling around the overpass right near the Soul City spawn point. It's almost like they know where to hang out, waiting for you to come pick them up. Sure, the drop chance isn't fantastic, but once you've got that 4 stack, you'll thank yourself for sticking with it. And here's a little pro tip for you. If you're serious about getting those powerful stacks, you might want to think about running 2x Anders and 2x Largalgan. Yep, I know, mixing it up can be a game changer. You might not think Anders is the go-to pick at first, but the synergy between them and Largalgan is something you don't want to miss. Don't sleep on it, trust me. Now, on to Ganshi. Oh Ganshi, this guy tends to get a lot of flack, but I'm telling you, he's a real workhorse. You can count on him, especially in those early stages when you're trying to clear out those annoying Tsundeus. He can hold his own for a while, but don't get too attached. Once he hits the 30-50 damage mark, it's time to phase him out. And who replaces him? None other than Longin and Anders. These two are going to be your heavy hitters once you've got them at the right level. Speaking of Anders, I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with them. I mean, they're fine, but I'm not exactly jumping out of my seat over them. Sure, they're easy to farm, especially in the area beneath the Largalgan overpass. If you're looking to stack a solid core, grabbing 2 Anders should do the trick, at least until you're ready to make the jump to Vermilion. Now, that's a shadow worth aiming for. But here's the thing, don't get too comfortable with Anders. They can only carry you so far. Vermilion is the real deal, and it's definitely the shadow you'll want to work toward as your endgame solution. So, while Anders can do some heavy lifting in the early stages, keep your eyes on the prize. Vermilion will be your ultimate powerhouse. Let's talk about farming for a second. We all know the grind is real, right? But the good news is that the farming spots for these shadows are pretty straightforward. Largalgan's near the Soul City spawn point, Anders below the overpass. There's no need to go hunting in the dark corners of the map. It's all about efficiency here. And the best part? The farming process isn't a total nightmare, so you can knock out those shadows without losing your sanity. One last thing I want to mention is timing. I get it, patience is hard, especially when you're so close to those key milestones. But trust me, it's worth the wait. That 4-stack Largalgan, it's like a key to a whole new level of power. Don't rush it. Take your time, farm those shadows, and when the pieces start falling into place, you're gonna be so glad you stuck with it. Alright folks, that's the rundown on Largalgan, Ganshi, Anders, and the rest of these shadows. Remember, it's all about stacking, synergy, and knowing when to upgrade. Keep at it, and soon enough, you'll be the one dominating the field. The shadows in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Vermilion and Longin. Let's talk about the shadows in Arise crossover, shall we? And no, I'm not talking about those dark, mysterious figures lurking in the corners of your screen. I'm talking about the actual shadows you can summon to join your squad and absolutely wreck some enemies. If you're diving into Solo City, then trust me, you're gonna want to know which ones are worth your time. Now, Vermilion is straight up a beast, no question about it. If you're looking for raw power, Vermilion is the one to go for. It delivers crazy damage, and in Solo City, this shadow can truly turn the tide of battle. But here's the catch. Getting Vermilion is a pain. Like seriously, the chance of summoning one is ridiculously low. I'm talking about multiple tries before you even see a glimmer of Vermilion in your squad. I think I had to try at least a dozen times before it finally showed up. So, if you're patient enough to grind, Vermilion will pay off big time. But here's the twist. While Vermilion is undeniably strong, there's another shadow that I absolutely recommend you grab ASAP, Longin. This one, it's a game changer, especially when you get your first Longin. The fiery spear attack it has is pure fire, literally. It's one of those moves that'll double your power, no questions asked. Honestly, if you're building your squad, you need to get 4 Longins. No debate. It's that powerful. I'm not exaggerating, this attack is absolutely ridiculous. You might be thinking, okay, cool, but why focus on Longin so much? Well, think about it. When you're up against tougher opponents, Vermilion's raw damage is awesome, but Longin's special attack doubles your effectiveness. I mean, why settle for one great shadow when you could have 4 that make your squad twice as strong? I've seen people make the mistake of ignoring Longin for too long, and honestly, that's a mistake I don't want you to make. If you're wondering how to balance Vermilion and Longin in your squad, here's the deal. Use Vermilion for those heavy damage dealing moments where you need to go full force. But once you have Longin in your roster, that fiery spear will carry you through those tougher battles with ease. Plus, the synergy between these two shadows is just too good. Vermilion's high damage and Longin's power boosting attack will make you unstoppable. You've got to play it smart and mix them up for maximum impact. So, in the end, my advice is clear. Get yourself a Vermilion if you can, but never, ever skip out on Longin. The fiery spear attack is something every player needs in their squad, and trust me, you'll be glad you stacked up on them. Take it from me, you'll be breezing through Solo City in no time. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.